Dr. Elalina loved her job. She worked at a small clinic and helped people every day. She was kind and calm. She always listened carefully to her patients. She believed that being a doctor was not just about medicine, it was also about understanding people. She watched how people spoke, how they sat, and how they looked. Sometimes people didn't say much, but she still tried to help them feel better. One day, a new patient came to the clinic. He was a man in his 30s. He said he had a cough. Elalina asked questions and did some tests. Everything was normal. No fever, no signs of illness. She told him, "You are healthy." The man gave a small nod. He did not smile. He said very little and then left. A week later, he came again. This time, he said his back hurt. She did more tests. Again, nothing was wrong. He did not look like he was in pain. He gave short answers like a little or not often. He didn't ask for any medicine. He sat quietly and then left. The third week, he returned. Now he said he had chest pain. Dr. Elalena checked everything again. Heart, lungs, blood pressure, everything was normal. Still, he didn't ask for help. He just came, talked a little, and left. She started to feel something strange. Why was he coming back again and again? Why were the tests always normal? Why did he look calm, not worried? Most patients with chest pain are scared, but he wasn't. That evening, she wrote in her notebook, "Same patient, third visit, no illness, very quiet. What is he looking for?" She also began to feel something she didn't expect. She remembered his voice. She thought about his eyes. She asked herself, "Why do I keep thinking about this patient?" The next time he came, he said he had a headache. Same story. No signs of illness, just short answers. She asked, "When did it start?" He said, "Yesterday." "Did you eat something different?" "No." "Do you have other symptoms?" "Not really." The conversation was short, but the feeling stayed in her heart. Dr. Elalina talked to a nurse at the clinic. She said, "This man has come 4 times. I don't think he is really sick." The nurse laughed and said, "Maybe he just wants to see you. Maybe he likes you." That idea surprised Elalina. She smiled, but didn't say anything. Still, she thought about it later. Could that be true? She asked herself. More time passed. The man came again. Now he said he felt dizzy. She did more tests. All results were normal. She told him, "You are okay." He said, "Okay." But he didn't leave right away. He stayed silent for a few seconds. Then he said, "Thank you." It was a small moment, but it stayed in her heart. After he left, she opened his file again. 5 visits, 5 problems, all tests normal, no medicine, no fear, just silence. She sat at her desk and stared at the file. This was not normal. Most patients don't come so often without real illness. Something was different. She didn't know what it was, but she felt it. She asked herself many questions. Is he hiding something? Is he lonely? Is he afraid of something? Or is he here for another reason? She didn't know the answer, but she knew this. He was not just another patient. Something was happening. She could feel it. Something slow. Something quiet. Something real. And for the first time in a long time, Dr. Elelena felt unsure. Not as a doctor, but as a person. One day, the man came back to the clinic again. But this time, he said something different. He did not talk about pain or sickness. He looked at Dr. Elena and said, I don't feel sick. I just want to talk. That surprised her. She asked, Talk about what? He answered, Stress. He sat down in the chair. He looked nervous, but calm. He said he felt tired, but not because of work. He said he felt confused, but not about life. Then he stopped talking. Elena waited. She asked, What is confusing you? He looked down and said, Nothing important. But she knew it was something important. She could feel it. She wanted to ask more questions, but she stopped herself. Something inside her was telling her to be quiet. She looked at him not just as a doctor, but as a person. There was something soft and honest in the way he spoke. She didn't know what it was, but it touched her. After that visit, he didn't come for a week. Then another week passed. Still, no sign of him. Dr. Elelena told herself maybe he was better now. But inside she felt something was missing. She looked at the appointment list every day. His name was not there. Then, one Friday, the receptionist called her and said, Someone is here to see you. No appointment. Elelena asked, Who? The receptionist said his name. Her heart beat faster. She told the receptionist, Send him in. The man came in. He looked nervous again. He said, I'm sorry about last time. She shook her head. You don't need to say sorry, she said. I didn't want to make you feel uncomfortable, he said. You didn't, she replied. They both went quiet. For a long moment, there was silence between them. Then the man spoke again. I didn't come today because I'm sick, he said. I came because I want to ask you something. Elelena didn't say anything. She waited. He looked at her and said, Would you like to have coffee with me? He smiled a little. Not here. Not as doctor and patient. Just two people. Just coffee. Everything felt quiet. The air in the room felt still. Elelena's heart was beating fast. She thought about many things. She thought about the rules. She thought about her job. She thought about what people might say. But she also thought about the truth. She looked at him and said, Not now, but one day soon. He smiled. That's enough for me, he said. Then he walked out of the room. Later that evening, he sent her a message. Hi, Elena. I know you are busy. Just tell me when you are free. She waited a little. Then she wrote back. Next Saturday, 5 o'clock p.m. He replied, Perfect. Thank you. Saturday came. Elena finished her work early. She went to a quiet cafe. He was already there, waiting at a table. They sat together. At first, they talked about small things, where they were from, what they liked to do, their favorite books, their favorite foods. It felt nice. It felt easy. Then he looked at her and said, There is something I didn't tell you. She looked at him and asked, What is it? He said, This wasn't the first time I saw you. I saw you 6 months ago in a hospital. You walked into a room to help a patient. You didn't see me, but I saw you. Just for a moment. He said, Something about that moment stayed with me. I didn't know your name. I didn't know where you worked, but I remembered your face and your voice. He smiled gently. I asked around. I searched. Finally, I found your clinic. Elena stayed quiet. She looked at him. She felt something warm inside her heart. He said, I know it sounds strange, but I just wanted to see if you were real. She smiled softly and said, I am real. And in that moment, she knew that something true was beginning. After that first coffee, Elena and the man began to meet every week, every Saturday at the same cafe, same table, same time. These meetings became special. They talked about many things, simple things like the weather, books, music, or what happened during the week. Sometimes they talked about bigger dreams too. The man spoke more now. He smiled more. And Elelena felt something peaceful when she was with him. She didn't need to be a doctor around him. She could just be herself. Week after week, she looked forward to their meetings. Her life became brighter. She found herself smiling more, even at work. She felt more open, more human, more alive. It was not a big love story, not fast or loud. It was quiet, slow, and real. One day, during their usual meeting, the man said something different. He looked a little sad. He said, I have to travel for work, just for a few weeks. She looked at him and asked, Where will you go? He told her the name of a city far away. She asked, Will you come back? He smiled and said, Of course. I'll be back soon. That Saturday was their last meeting before his trip. They drank coffee and laughed like, always. Before he left, he said, Don't forget me. Elelena smiled and replied, How could I forget you? The next week, she waited for his message, but there was nothing. She told herself, He is busy. He will message me tomorrow. But tomorrow came, and still nothing. A week passed, then 2 weeks. Still, he didn't message. She sent him a short message. No reply. She waited and tried again. Still no answer. Now she started to worry. She didn't know what to think. She checked the news. She checked flights. She checked everything she could find. But nothing helped. It was like he had disappeared. A month passed, then 2, then a whole year. He never came back. Elena kept going to the same cafe. She sat at the same table. The people who worked there remembered her. They gave her the same coffee every week. She always looked at the door, hoping he might walk in. But the door never opened for him again. People around her asked, What happened to him? She said, He had to leave. They asked, Will he come back? She replied, Maybe. But deep inside, she knew the truth. He was gone. Even though he was gone, she didn't feel angry. She didn't feel a hate. She felt something softer. She missed him, yes, but she also felt lucky. She had met someone who made her feel alive, someone who showed her that quiet love was possible. Even if it didn't last, it was still real. She remembered the day he told her, I saw you 6 months before we met. She remembered how he searched for her, how he kept coming back to the clinic, how he stayed silent but present, how he finally told her the truth, and how he made her feel seen, not just as a doctor, but as a person. Elelena didn't tell many people about him, but she kept the memory safe in her heart. She sometimes wrote letters to him in her notebook. She never sent them. They were just for herself, to keep the feeling alive. One day, she gave a talk to young doctors. She didn't mention his name, but she told them this. Sometimes people come into your life not for medicine, but for meaning. Sometimes they don't need a pill, they just need presence. Listen not just to symptoms, but to silences too, because the heart can speak in quiet ways. The young doctors listened. Some smiled, some took notes. But none of them knew that her words came from a quiet love she once had and lost. In the end, Elelena learned something important. Love doesn't always stay. It doesn't always give answers. It doesn't always return. But love, when it is real, leaves something behind. It leaves warmth. It leaves change. It leaves truth. She did not regret anything. Even though it ended, she was thankful it began. He came to her life with a lie, but he left with her heart. And even though he was gone, something inside her stayed open. She was still the same doctor. But now, she was also someone who had loved, someone who had waited, someone who had felt. Sometimes love comes for only a short time, but its light stays forever. Ella Lena's story is not just about a doctor and a patient. It is a story about being human. It shows how quiet moments can hold deep meaning. At first, it was just a man coming to the clinic. He said he was sick, but nothing was wrong. Again and again, he returned. Slowly, something changed. Elelena started to feel something. Not fear, not confusion, but something soft and real. Curiosity, connection, maybe even love. He did not come for medicine. He came for something deeper, for presence, for a person. He came to see her. And over time, they shared small conversations, small smiles, and one quiet truth. He liked her. He had been looking for her since the first moment he saw her in a hospital months ago. They met for coffee week after week. She felt happy, safe, and understood. But then he had to leave, and he never came back. No message, no goodbye. He disappeared. It hurt, but Elelena didn't let the pain become bitterness. She chose to remember the good, the honesty, the feeling, because what they shared, even if short, was real. This story teaches us something important. Real connection doesn't need to last forever to be meaningful. Even short love, quiet love, or a small meeting can change us forever. We don't always get answers. We don't always get closure, but we always have the choice to keep the beauty of those moments in our hearts. How can we use this in our life? Be present with people. Listen with your heart. Notice the quiet ones. Sometimes someone near you is not asking for help, but they need it. And sometimes we are that person. So be kind, be honest. And when something real comes into your life, don't be afraid to feel it. Even if it ends, let it make you better. And if you have listened to this story until the end, congratulations! You have just improved your English by listening to a full emotional story. You practiced real English, slow, simple, and full of feeling. That's how language learning becomes powerful through stories. Now, here's a small question for you. Why did the man first come to the clinic? A. Because he was truly sick. B. Because he wanted to see the doctor? Comment your answer below, A or B. Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us create more content like this for English learners all over the world. It gives us the energy and motivation to continue. We also welcome any small donation. In the beginning, it's hard for us to keep going without help. We create all of this for free to help people like you learn English in a fun and emotional way. Thank you for listening. Stay kind, stay curious, and keep learning.